want to welcome Roger Stone back to the program. He is author of Nixon's Secrets, The Rise, Fall, and Untold Truth about President Nixon, Watergate, and the Pardon. The name is Roger Stone. He wrote it with Mike Colapietro, and it's called Nixon's Secrets. Roger, welcome back to the program.
Delighted to be with you.
I wanted to ask you about Hillary Clinton and the presidential race. I know you're not only a great writer, but you're a political expert. We try to be careful not to blow things out of proportion. I rather regret that Warren isn't more popular with the Democrats, because I think she's very easy to beat on this bizarre Amerindian claim that she made repeatedly at Harvard, most likely, I presume, to procure the perks of the job and the various benefits that come with that most excellent job. But evidently, she may or may not have been telling the truth about that. We also have a Republican field that is bizarre. Romney now saying that he's not going to run. The potentiality of a Jeb Bush presidency, bringing in sort of dynastic lineage questions, and a so-called right wing of the Republican Party, or so-called Tea Party wing, that is averse to the prospect of running another Republican in name only. I'd like to know what you think about all this and sort of put it in a historical perspective. And I want to thank you, too, for your excellent book, Nixon's Secrets. Roger?
Well, first of all, I think we need another Clinton like we need another Bush. In all honesty, I have a very, very hard time seeing where, when it comes down to issues, they are very different. George W. Bush said Bill Clinton was like his brother. That makes Hillary Clinton his sister-in-law. And whether it is deficit spending or government spying or endless war, their policies seem to me to be interchangeable. I do think Hillary's candidacy is problematic from a number of points of view. First of all, she's really got nothing to say. What's her vision for America? Where would she take us? She's very stale, and there's not much of a message there other than it's my turn, which to me is not a very good rationale for getting elected. I also think that if she bases her candidacy on the glass ceiling, meaning elect me because I'll be the first American, the first woman president, well, then I think she's issuing an invitation to review her record and Bill Clinton's record in the abuse of women over a long period of time. Bill's abuse of women. I think there's at least 8 women who can claim realistically that they were raped by Bill Clinton. And then the focus will be on Hillary's role in the silencing of those women, in the cover-up. She wants to be our first woman president. No, I think she has violated women on her way to power.
Before we move on, there are new revelations, and I'm smelling something smells bad in the corner of the room, Roger, and it's this business of Epstein and Clinton and a sort of cabal of enormously wealthy and powerful men who evidently, apparently, made a regular gig of using underage girls as prostitutes on this Caribbean island privately owned by billionaire Epstein. Clinton's name is all over this, and I mean, you being an expert in conspiracies and presidential conspiracies, is there a shoe that's about to drop here and some extraordinary news? Of course, the amazing thing is that Epstein is a voyeur too, and he I believe admits to having filmed a number of these dalliances in secret and hidden camera.
Yes, it's an extraordinary story. This billionaire hedge fund operator, Jeffrey Epstein, friend of the rich and powerful, appears to have made underage girls available to a substantial list of A-listers. But here's what we do know without dispute. Bill Clinton visited Epstein's hedonistic private island retreat on 10 occasions. Hillary was not with him for any of those trips. Bill Clinton was on Epstein's airplane, his private plane, 17 times. Hillary Clinton was not with him on any of those trips. What was Bill doing there? When one of the women involved in this controversy asked Epstein directly what his relationship was with Clinton, he said, well, Bill owes me a few favors. What does that mean? If the Epstein plea agreement, in essence, Epstein was proved by the Palm Beach 40 underage girls. He pled guilty to one count of solicitation. He got 13 months in a halfway house. Let me explain that. He only had to go to the Palm Beach jail at night, from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. During the day, he was free to travel wherever he wished and do whatever he wished. That is, by anyone's measure, a slap on the wrist. And in this secret plea deal, which the government sealed, all of those that he trafficked women to, and all of those women who helped procure underage girls were all granted immunity. So if this plea deal is overturned, and there is a legal effort now afoot to overturn it, then Bill Clinton will have to answer questions about what he was doing on this hedonistic island and exactly what his relationship is with the pervert Epstein.
Yeah, it just seems ridiculous that they should have been underage girls. I mean, these are mature men in their middle age. It just seems bizarre to me. I can understand how the guys might have liked to party together and there might have been some improprieties with, girlfriends or, who knows who. Nobody's perfect, but this is criminal activity we're talking about. It's not, it's not a bunch of buddies and somebody kisses somebody else's wife at the Christmas party. This is ongoing, repeated, gross, meaning big criminal activity.
Franklin, some of these women were women. They aren't women; they're girls. Some of them were as young as 11. The girl who started the entire case was 14. This is pedophilia, and it's amazing the extent to which some of the elites have gone in an attempt to defend Epstein, as if his enormous contributions to science or his enormous support of the state of Israel makes him immune to the same laws that you and I have to obey. I really think it's repugnant, and I think it is perhaps Hillary's biggest problem, because it plays into the larger question of the Clintons' abuse of women. I'm not talking about consensual sex. There's no question Bill Clinton was a hound dog, and he engaged in a large number of extracurricular, extramarital affairs. That doesn't make you much different than Jack Kennedy or Dwight Eisenhower or even Richard Nixon, all of whom had a little on the side. I'm talking about rape. I'm talking about sexual assault, where he assaulted women, tore their clothes, forced himself on Juanita Broderick, on Emily Wellstone.
I remember meeting Jennifer Flowers, and Jennifer Flowers is a complex individual, but she was absolutely believable to me. She was nothing about her that seemed as if anything wasn't true about these allegations. This is all in context of what we've come to call scandal, and we couch presidential scandals and football scandals and other scandals in a word that invariably includes gate. Your book, Roger Stone, is called Nixon's Secrets, and I'll tell you, one of the innumerable, uncountable pleasures of working with G. Gordon Liddy for 10 years was really understanding what Watergate was about. And I've got to tell you, it really wasn't a very big deal at all. I mean, it's fascinating, Mitchell and Haldeman and Ehrlichman and all this stuff. But in my understanding, Watergate really was a very simple burglary. It was, a lot of the things we call something gate, we're really, there's a hyperbolic element of the historical referent Watergate. It really wasn't that big a deal compared to some of the stuff that we compare it to,
No,
maybe you would disagree.
Venal. Extraordinarily venal in retrospect. I mean, look, Nixon's men are accused of wiretapping one building. Barack Obama's wiretapping the entire nation, if not the world. Right. One of the counts of impeachment against Nixon was that he bombed Cambodia without congressional support. Congress has never approved our current bombing in Iraq. Mm-hmm. This list goes on and on and on. I mean, I think that the extra constitutional activities of Barack Obama make Richard Nixon look like a Boy Scout. Nixon would be rolling in his grave if he knew what the current president's getting away with. One of the counts
it's always been my opinion also that frankly, even as a Republican, Nixon does have a plausible deniability in Watergate. He really does. Just as Reagan has a plausible deniability in the Iran-Contra so-called scandal or affair. Maybe
Correct.
He knew what he knew. Am I correct in saying that or not?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. There's no proof whatsoever that Nixon knew about the break-in advance. When he learned about it, he thought it was stupid and pointless. The mistake he made was not.
And by the way, I really got that feeling from Gordon. I got the feeling that Gordon almost. Wow, I got to be careful what I say. But I can't say it. I mustn't say it. But I really believe that Nixon didn't know.
He definitely didn't. You remember one of the so-called smoking gun was that Nixon and his men tried to use the CIA to tell the FBI to halt the Watergate investigation. This president uses the CIA to spy on reporters and U.S. senators, which to me is far more egregious than the internal political machinations of Nixon and his men.
The spying on reporters and Cheryl Atkinson's story, Atkinson, by the way, is really it's a huge story. Do you believe, Roger Stone, that will ever come to light, that we'll ever know what really happened? Because this is executive control or White House control over, direct control over major news networks and operators, and direct manipulation of our so-called watchdog media, which I think our friend over the other side of the dial has called the lapdog media. Yes or no? Atkinson, you think it'll come to light? We'll learn?
Sadly, I think the answer is no, because the mainstream media has no interest in covering issues that embarrass this president. If we had learned, for example, that the CIA was wiretapping and bugging a CBS reporter rather than a Fox reporter, there'd have been much greater outrage. But we know that the administration wiretapped, surveilled, bugged.
Yeah. And he uses the IRS. He uses the IRS to do the same thing in so many